We are now ready for our first guest of the evening. We're going to bring on breast cancer survivor. Lisa is in the house. How are you doing, Lisa?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I
Well,
mentioned there when we were on commercial break there that I love your shirt tonight.
absolutely.
Such a cool shirt. I want to remind everybody, hey, she got Survivor written on tonight too. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yep.
That's amazing. I want to remind everybody also that if you do have questions for Lisa, please do pop them into the comments and I'll be sure and check them out during the broadcast here. So, Lisa, you're not only a breast cancer survivor, but you're brand new to the Drumathon committee too.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes. I I have been volunteering for not even a year yet,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited to be on the committee and looking forward to it. The event is an amazing event. It touched my heart last year. Um, so it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, we're grateful to have you too. I remember seeing you at that event, and then you helped several times with other things last year. Max had that one event as well. You helped with some of the gift wrapping over at Nebraska Furniture Mart. So honoring our volunteers right before you came on was a really great segue to you because you're a great volunteer. You know, even having just started, you've already done so much. So really appreciate everything that you're doing for this organization, girl.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So we want to jump into it. Everybody's story is different. So I want to start back at the beginning, Lisa. Can you tell us kind of how you ended up finding out that you had breast cancer? Were you doing screening frequently?
I was not, and I will say that I was not because I was afraid of it. My mother passed away when I was 25. She was 55, and her sister had passed away the year before her. And so I kind of spent my whole adult life wondering, okay, when am I, when is it going to happen to me?
Yeah, so
And
they both had breast cancer.
yes, they
Yeah.
both had breast cancer, both passed away from it. My aunt just didn't have private medical care, so she didn't get the treatment and stuff. So she went quick. My mother was diagnosed, and I wish I knew what stage and everything she was in. I don't have any of that information, and I don't even know if how they did it 26 years ago. You know what they called it.
Yeah, everything was different. Like they have so many different like they talk a lot about the different hormone receptors and stuff now, and they didn't really talk about that back then, like, triple negative and HER2 positive, all that stuff wasn't really a conversation. I don't recall how far back staging went, but I don't think it's uncommon for folks to not know what stage different people were at for sure. So yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of just ignored it. And I guess I went and had a mammogram finally. My future husband was like, okay, he was kidding, but he's like, I'm not going to marry you if you don't go find out. If you just don't go, go have a mammogram. He was kidding. But I did. I went ahead and had one. And that was April of 2019. And they sent me a letter. My doctor sent me a letter, or Solus sent me a letter and said, hey, we think we see something, come back. Well, of course that frightened me a little bit, and so I ignored it, and I used the excuse that my two teenagers were super busy with baseball and dance, don't have time for it. July rolls around and I can feel, I start feeling a
So
lump.
yeah, Lisa, could I ask you, like, whenever you went and got that first mammogram, was there any indication that there was anything wrong, or was it just he was like, "Hey, you need to, I want you to make sure you take better, care of your health and that you're proactive about this," and he kind of encouraged you to go get the mammogram just because you had never had one, but there wasn't any reason to think there was anything wrong at that point, right?
Exactly. It was
Wow.
just routine checkup.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I ignored the letter. And then July comes around and I can start to feel it. And again, I ignore it. um, Partially, denial and not wanting to deal with it or face it. And December comes around And I'm like, okay, fine. I've got to do this because it's not going away. And, it was getting bigger. Um, so I went back for another mammogram in December right before Christmas. And yeah, they did the biopsy and everything. And then I was diagnosed, I guess, stage 1B, um, January 6th, 2020.
Really lucky that, it sounds like it wasn't a fast growing, breast cancer if you had had it for so many months and it was still just stage 1. It's really lucky,
Hmm.
um, 'cause I'm sure if especially now you're probably like, "Oh, wish I hadn't ignored it, wish I would have been more proactive about it," and I think that's the message, right?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
I told my breast surgeon, I was like, I cannot, I still have the letter from April, and I told her, I said, I can't believe I ignored it. But she kind of, like what you said it's kind of slow growing. It's about the size of I don't know, walnut, a little smaller. And fortunately, I'm triple positive, which, is the easier, I guess, cancer to work with. So I get a little uncomfortable talking about it because so many people have gone through so much more than what I went through. So I've had friends that have passed away from it.
Right.
So I feel like my journey was simple compared to theirs. I
You
mean,
know, I'm interrupting you because, I felt that same way. I remember saying those exact words to my pastor. I was like, I'm, talking about this, like, you know, I mean, it was a major thing, but so many others have had it so much worse. But, a lot of times the initial treatment, regardless of what stage you're in, is the same. It's still pretty massive treatments. The surgery can be a massive surgery. It could be a lot of chemotherapy or radiation. And so you're still having to go through that. And the bottom line is when you're diagnosed with any kind of cancer, you're faced with your mortality, and
yes, sure,
that's a big deal. That's a big changes your perspective on life. It's a life changing and life altering event. So I think it no matter what stage someone is at, people need to hear your story.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm getting better.
yeah. So after you were diagnosed, you said that was in December of 2019. Is that right?
Yes, January 6th, 2020.
January 6th, 2020. So that's like right before the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah, and my work was already we were already working from home 2 days a week or whatever. We'd already been working from home.
Huh.
And so I went out for work in February and then COVID hit. Well, I started working from home full time because I was losing my hair, didn't want to go into the office with that. And then COVID hit. And so all my coworkers were working from home too. So it's almost like no one even knows that I went through this, and which is kind of cool.
Did you not tell your coworkers at all?
I did tell my coworkers, my customers and stuff. I didn't really ended up not having to tell everyone
Yeah,
because everybody was working from home. So
right.
that worked out kind of well. I didn't, because I at first was like, oh, I'm going to be missing out on so much, but I turned out it wasn't missing out on anything.
Right. So, what was the first thing that you had to do after you got your diagnosis? Did you have surgery or did you start treatment of some kind?
Yeah, so then it was a whirlwind of, doctor visits and all the scans, the body scan, the PET scan, the bone scan, MRI, and then started chemo. It was real quick. Everything happened so fast in that first January, February. So started chemo in February, 6 treatments of Herceptin, Progetta, carboplatin, and taxotere or whatever. That's the one where they put your fingers and toes in ice or whatever. You have your fingers
Yeah.
sit in a
Yeah,
bowl of ice,
they could actually do that for they actually will do that for any form of cancer or any form of chemo that could cause neuropathy.
which I
They'll
ended up
they
having.
Yeah, you did end up having it even though
I
you
did.
did the ice?
Yep, in my feet. Oh,
Oh,
it
no.
hurts. It hurt really bad, but then they gave me gabapentin,
Yeah.
so I took that for a while. Um, so right after the chemo, I went into surgery, double mastectomy and reconstruction all at the same time, which was nice because I hear several years ago it didn't really quite work out like that.
So, I missed asking you this. So how old were you when you were diagnosed?
Of 50.
50. Okay. And we had a question from somebody watching. They want to know how old were your kids at the time of your diagnosis?
Um, Daughter turned 21 today, so she was 18, and so my son was 16.
Right. Okay, so now going back to where we were on your treatment. So you had 6 total chemo treatments and it was a mix of a lot of different types of chemo.
Mm.
And what was the do you recall the date that you completed your chemo treatment? Was it before or cuz the COVID pandemic essentially lockdown happened around like the 14th, I think, of March. So
Mhm.
so
Uh, yeah. I actually got lucky. So I finished in the end of May, I guess it would be, because it was what, every 3 weeks? I think that's right. 6 treatments for, one every 3 weeks. And so I guess there I can't remember what the surgical rules were, but I got in. I was able to get in
well,
and
I
have
was
the surgery.
I was really just even worried about or thinking about your chemo treatments and how was that going to your chemo treatments in the middle of a pandemic? I mean, did you have to go by yourself? And like do you remember that moment where you realized, "Oh my god, we're on lockdown and there's a pandemic. I'm having chemo, which makes my immune system weakened even more." Do you remember that moment of panic and like how did they how did they navigate, your chemo treatments when the shutdown happened?
Yeah, there was some panic. The So my first 2 treatments were before COVID, so my husband went the first time and my father went with me the second time. So, yes, walking in there that 3rd time alone, with, the heightened awareness and everything it was a little scary, and, I mean, obviously, no one was going anywhere, so at least I didn't have to worry about getting it, if that makes sense, getting COVID.
Right, there was no one really to get it from, and but
Right.
I bet, like, your nurses and everybody working at the treatment center and stuff like that were pretty, like, masked up and all that kinda
Oh, yeah.
stuff, right? Yeah, and then
Absolutely, everybody was masked up for sure, yeah.
you had
Yeah,
to
no.
wear a mask at your treatment and all that?
Yeah, yeah, no visitors, so, which I was okay with, I always felt guilty that people were coming to sit with me.
Well, you don't have to feel guilty for that. It's hard, I know what you're saying, I don't know. I don't like to ask for help very much. I don't like, that kind of stuff. And, I remember early on having a group of people that was just like, you need to let people help you because they want to help you. Like that they want to have that thing. But yeah, I mean, I get it. And then maybe in some ways, being alone kind of gave you the opportunity to kind of, look at it however you needed to look at it that day and be
True,
whatever mood you wanted to be in, you know?
yeah, just chill and not have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So you finished your treatment in May, got through the pandemic part of it, and then it was time for your surgery, and you were able to get in easily for your surgery. You didn't have any delays due to COVID or anything like that. And what surgery did you have?
I did have a double mastectomy, and that was June 17th, so I will be cancer-free 3 years in, 2 months, I guess. So I had a double mastectomy and reconstruction at the same time.
Yeah, you were mentioning that, and I remember somebody else on our Drumathon committee had that same situation where they were able to have double mastectomy and reconstruction at the same time, which isn't super common. So it's cool that you were able to do that. What was the type of reconstruction that you had done? Did you get implants?
I did get implants. So I had full full removal of everything. Um, and I did go ahead and get implants. Yeah.
And so will you have to go back for revision surgery every few years?
Nope. He told me I was good for 25 years. And by
Oh,
that time,
really?
70 something. So he said, it's up to you what you want to do.
Wow, wow.
Uh,
I wasn't I didn't have reconstruction. I was under the impression that anytime anyone has reconstruction, they have to go back for revision surgeries like every 5 years or so. I wonder
no,
what the difference is in those where you do and those where you don't.
yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I even he kind of talked me into even getting the doing the tattooing. Um, so I did that. Also, I'm trying to think. That was probably July of 2021.
Wow, and are you happy with everything?
Yeah, I am.
That's
Yep.
awesome. That's really good. I always
Yeah.
love to hear that. That's the outcome you want. You know,
Yeah.
as long as everybody's happy, we're good. I'm curious. So, since breast cancer was so prevalent in your family, did you get genetic testing?
I did. That was one of the first things also, in that whirlwind of all these visits and scans. My breast surgeon, we did that. That was the first thing she did. And of course, I'm the BRCA2 positive.
And did they recommend having a hysterectomy at that time or no?
No, but I had already planned on getting it myself. So I did that in November of 2020, had a full hysterectomy, everything gone. When it came back in, my mother had she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then she was in remission. That's what they said then, for 5 years, and then it came back in her colon. Um, so of course I'm paranoid of that, and so not that the female parts have anything to do with your colon, but I just don't want anything that can possibly cause any
Yeah, right. That would be
concern.
scary. I would have to think that all the therapy, the chemotherapy that they did for you, maybe is would reduce that risk.
Mhm.
And then the fact that they know that you're BRCA2, and they're probably telling you whatever you need to know to prevent the risk of potential cancer later down the line. I'm sure that they're watching you like a hawk and tell you all the things that you can do to lower your risk, right?
Yeah, they after Reconstruction, I don't remember when I started it. I started on tamoxifen September 2021, but they also put me on 14 rounds of Kadcyla. I think it's one of those immunotherapy, because I'm triple positive, HER2 positive, and so that Kadcyla is supposed to kind of go with that HER2 receptor. And then um, after those 14 rounds, I had a year of the Kadcyla was an infusion, so I still had my port. Um, and then when I was off of that, they put me on oral medication, Nerlinks, for a year. And, both of these just reduce the chance of reoccurrence. And the Nerlinks is new. I think it was approved February 2021.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool to be able to catch that wave of new technology, the things that they're able to come out with, like the immunotherapy and everything else you're talking about there. Um, I had a question here from Aquarius. She said, "Did you take the Herceptin for 1 year, and are you taking a 5 year pill?"
The Herceptin was just the 6 rounds of chemo, the infusion. The Kadcyla was 14 rounds. The tamoxifen I'm on for for at least for a minimum of 5 years. But it's a daily pill. Nerlinks I was on for a year. That was a bunch of little teeny tiny pills.
A
I don't know
lot.
if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, no, that's okay. Yeah, I'm just curious if they how long they plan for you to be on medications. Are you still on any right now? You're
I'm still on the tamoxifen. I'll
Suboxone,
be,
yeah.
I guess, 3 years at the end of this year. Will be 3 years on it. Um, they say 5 years, and then I guess you start talking about it. The side effects of Once I got off the Neuralinks, the side effects of the tamoxifen have kicked in with the major hot flashes and just joint pain and stiffness and weight gain. So I've been working on my diet the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'm down 7 pounds, so I'm excited because
Oh,
I didn't think I was going to be able to lose weight. I thought I was eating healthy, but obviously I wasn't eating the right mix of your nutrients, and so the struggle's real with these side effects.
yeah, it's true, man, and I mean, you're only touching on a few of them. I mean, think about all the side effects that you had when you went through chemo infusions, back in 2020. I mean, you said you lost your hair, and you had neuropathy in your feet that was very painful. And what other side effects did you have back then?
When I was going through chemo, it's just, you just get that. It was funny because I felt like I had COVID all of 2020 because every COVID symptom is a chemo symptom, right? You don't feel well, uh, just lethargic kind of. I would feel just, and see, I feel like I got kind of fortunate with that. I didn't have the nauseousness that a lot of people get with chemo. My mother suffered from that terribly, but they also didn't have the medication back then. I don't think that they have now, because they pump you up today. What, 3 days before they give you all these meds to keep you from getting sick when
Yep,
you go
that's
in for
right.
treatment.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's I mean, that was a thing is for so many years, everybody thought that chemo just made you so sick, and there's all these movies about it where people are just getting sick and sick and sick with the chemo and everything. And I remember when I first got diagnosed, my doctor told me that they don't tolerate nausea at all, and that they give you all the medication in advance of it so you don't get sick. I did struggle with like heartburn and
oh,
stuff
okay.
really bad. But I didn't have I wasn't nauseous though. So that was
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So that's hard that, like you said, your mom had to go through the nausea, right?
Yeah, she'd have to go to the hospital, get her infusions, um, because she would get so sick, and they needed to keep, like, fluid in her. So yeah. And I was 25, and they kind of, my parents, protected me, I guess you could say, from it. I say they hid it from me, but they were protecting me. Today, I wish I would have known a little bit more. I mean, I did go to the hospital and see her every once in a while when she was having treatments, but I didn't understand and didn't know what was going on. Um, so I have regrets that I didn't know that and didn't take it more serious. And so I have been very open with my daughter. Like I said, she turns 21 today, and I've already talked to my breast surgeon, and she said bring her in anytime, and we'll test her for the gene. And if she's positive, then she'll at least have that knowledge. And as she gets older, she can decide what she wants to do. Does she want to go ahead and have a double mastectomy after she has children? Or, it's just she has that knowledge that she can figure out as she gets older. And
Yeah.
she's comfortable talking about it. Um, so I just want her to, I don't want to hide it from her. I want her to understand.
I think that's so good, and I'm so glad to hear that you're gonna have her tested really soon. We had interviewed somebody a few weeks back, and they said that they were asking how soon they should have their daughter tested, and she's like 12 right now, I think. And so Dr. O was explaining the age. I think it was 25. I think she said, unless she said unless you were diagnosed at 25, then it should be, I think she said 2 or 3 years before. So if you were diagnosed, if like you were diagnosed at 25, then your daughter should be checked at 22 or whatever. There was some algorithm
Oh,
for it. So yeah, it was, but the details of that are in a different broadcast. But I'm just glad to hear that you're being proactive about it and that you're talking to your daughter about it, and it's not like gonna sneak up or anything like that. Like she's gonna be aware and she's gonna know her options and all that stuff. So I'm sure that's scary for you and for her.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I started a journal, but I need to finish it. So, and with the intention of she has it and she'll know what I went through, and can know what to expect, um, if it happens to her. Hopefully it
Yeah.
won't.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance she may not have got the gene at all.
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
any other children?
18-year-old boy.
Yeah, I wonder if he should be tested too. I don't
You
know.
know, not a yeah, because I think prostate
Right,
cancer
is
breast
tied to
is
that. I think so.
ugh,
I think there's several different cancers tied to each of the genes that they've identified. So yeah, I don't recall what it is, but it seems like it might be smart to have him tested too. I mean, you never know, right?
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I don't want to miss this question Aquarius had. She asked, "What do you do now to handle the joint pain and stiffness?"
Um, I'm not having a whole lot of luck. I take turmeric, but I don't know that it's really helping. So I'm going to try a different joint supplement as soon as I'm finished with this turmeric. I I did spend last year working out with a personal trainer, from February to December. Uh, I did feel a lot better because now that I haven't been working with her, I'm feeling it in my knees again. So I mean, I suggest exercise and strength training. One thing I want to start doing, trying to do more of a little bit every day, is mobility. Um, just some mobility exercises. I think that might help with the stiffness. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I had fibromyalgia after having chemo and everything, and the thing that I've found that helps the most is Pilates
Mm,
has been really good, and then just, if I can walk every day, that helps a lot.
mm,
Like, if I do both of those things, then I do really well. There's places you could do like, you don't have to pay for a Pilates gym or whatever. There's the thing that I use a lot, and this is not a paid endorsement, is Fitness Blender. It's there on YouTube, and they have tons of different videos, and they're free. I mean, you can subscribe to something uh, off of their website if you wanted to do more with it, but they have tons of Pilates and different workout um, videos and things like that, and they're all free. And so I found when I'm really diligent about doing those Pilates routines that I feel so much better. That and walking. So
mm,
for me anyway, but I think you're on the right track. It's like, everybody wants the quick fix, but I think the real way to fixing a lot of the problems, I don't mean to insinuate that that's what Aquarius wanted, but I just mean the world.
mhm.
The world wants a quick fix, and I think that the way to wellness is being active, exercising, and eating right. I think that's how you keep from getting sick when others might be getting sick, and that's how you stay well and feeling good. But it's work. Ugh, I hate that part of it.
It
You know?
is work.
Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
thought eating healthy, but I just kept putting on just and I was noticing, probably about 4 weeks ago, I just felt swollen, not necessarily bloated, but swollen, and my ankles were starting to swell again, and my feet. And so I'm like, and I put my pants on and went out to eat, and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. This is a problem. And I was really getting worried, because when I mentioned it to my oncologist, she's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You're healthy. That's what matters." It's like, no, you know, I'm gaining a couple of pounds every couple of weeks, and it's just going up and going up and going up. And so I've been trying to learn about macros and just eating the right balance of fats, carbs, and protein. And it's helped. I can't believe it. I'm shocked. It's helped.
It's really
I
cool.
feel better.
Are you using something like MyFitnessPal or anything like
I
that to help manage that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm using that. Yeah.
I did my Fitness Pal for a while and did it mostly for calories, and just doing the calorie part of it helped me a lot. If I could keep to a certain amount of calories per day, then I noticed a big difference. I haven't done the macros, but I've heard the macros is the better way even to go than that. But yeah, that's like a balancing act, huh?
It's very confusing. I haven't quite figured out the math yet, but
It's
my
working
feet
for you.
haven't been swollen. I don't feel so bloated and swollen. So that's a plus just right there.
Yeah, totally. Well, so tell us, if was there like a point through your treatment that like there a down point where you were like, okay, this is the worst I've felt, or this was the worst side effect. Do you remember anything like that that happened?
Um, no, I know reality hit me. We took the kids snow skiing at Copper Mountain in Colorado for spring break in 2020. We left the weekend this mountain shut down. The Saturday we were leaving, COVID shut everything down. And um I didn't think anything of being on having chemo treatments, and I thought, okay, I'm at the end. Like, we'll be gone that week, and then I come home to a treatment, so I'll be fine. Oh my gosh, that trip was so hard. The altitude and carrying the skis and walking in those boots, I thought I was gonna die. Um, so that was a huge eye opener for me of, okay, look, you've got to take a step back. This is serious. You're basically poisoning your body, to get rid of this stuff. And that was a huge eye opener. Um, I can't, I really have, I can't complain. Um, I don't know. I feel like my journey was easy, like I said, compared to so many other people.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you took charge of your health and that you're, passing that on to your daughter, and you're staying on top of all this. I mean, I think it's a testament to why you're still here, Like if you hadn't have done that, there's no telling what would have happened. So I'm really glad that you jumped in head first and went after this.
Yes, me too.
So, Lisa, do you have anything that you want to share that you feel like that was good that came out of going through breast cancer?
Um, I mean, I definitely have a different the whole, cliche, don't sweat the small stuff. I don't really get mad about things anymore. Um, because life is too short, you know. Um, I guess that's the biggest thing. And to really just seize the day, like my husband and I we've gotten to a point now, the kids are old enough, they can, they're not 100% self-sufficient, but they don't have to have us here all the time. So we are pushing ourselves to get out and do things and do some traveling. And so that's the biggest thing, is just get out and just do.
Yep. That whole breast cancer thing will definitely change your perspective on life. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good that you're embracing life and going after those things that you want to do. I think it's awesome. Man, Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your story tonight. I know that you've inspired people and encouraged people more than anything, probably just to, take care of their health and take charge of their own health, you know, um, and just help with early detection. I mean, that's really the most important message here is early detection does save lives. I mean, it's a fact. So it's
Yeah.
really important for you to stay on top of your health. If it's time for you to start getting those mammograms, get those mammograms. If you have a steep family history of any kind of cancer, be sure to talk to your doctor and just know your risk. There's lots of websites out there that can tell you what makes your risk higher for breast cancer. So be sure and look into those. American Cancer Society is a great one for that. Those of you out there watching right now, Janine wants to tell you thank you so much for sharing your story. Um,
Aw.
Yeah. And hey Max, I think he's asking about that Aquarius had asked about and swelling management. And I think that that's where you mentioned that you try to stay in shape and work out, and that's really helped you more than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, totally cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Lisa girl. I will see you at the next Drumathon committee meeting, and thank you so much for volunteering and being a part of the team too. That's huge for us. You know that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and I feel very privileged to be a part of this organization.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll talk real soon, okay?
All right, thank
Have a great
you.
week. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, give it up for Lisa, man. So cool of her to join tonight. Breast cancer survivor and Drumathon committee member. She's brand new to the Drumathon committee.